Is up, y'all? And welcome back to episode 32 of That Snow Moon Pod. Did it just finally happen? Today, as I'm recording this, David Grush, a Air Force veteran and a former officer in a secret UAP intelligence agency, just came out and blew the whistle on UFOs. This is the story that we've all been kind of waiting to happen. Um, with just so much craziness going on surrounding this whole stigma phenomena, um, for this to happen on a random Tuesday in June, it all just doesn't feel like everything is now confirmed, but it's starting to feel like the ball is really starting to roll now. And, you know, let's just talk about what David Grush has fully said, because the things that he's saying, and if the things being said are to be true, I mean, who am I, some random dude on a Bluetooth mic on YouTube, to disagree with this guy with these type of credentials and credentials that have been confirmed? So not only is he legit in who he says he is, but I think with the credibility and just overall how this whole story kind of played out in its release and the timing of everything, um, I think this seems to be legit, and I think this is just one of those big time stories to come out that, unless you're, just always into this certain topic and know the history of it, these are the types of people that we know exist. And for him to say that someone in his position got refused permission on certain things within secret programs that had names and individuals that he knew about, but for him to get refused access to certain programs regarding extraterrestrial vehicles, I mean, come on. This is it's an X Files episode. But this is just the world we live in today. I mean, like I said, the timing with all this, the lead up to it all, with these spy balloons being shot down, Congress passing certain laws and acts for things like this, for them, if they were to happen, if some person within a secret intelligence agency within our government or military wants to come out and speak on these certain topics, that individual is protected by law. And I think this man David Grush just said, "Give me the baton and I'll run with it." Because now his face is all over the world on news, on articles, on your TVs, on our phones. The world knows his name. And for him to have the courage to show his face on live television on such a big worldwide platform takes a lot of courage, because it's not like he's some 90-year-old veteran on his deathbed, just wanting to let it all out before, he rests for eternity. This guy still has a career, a life, sure, family and all that, friends, everything, just like all of us. But he's willing to put his neck on the line and be the one to come out and say, yeah, this type of stuff goes on. UFOs have crashed. We have recovered multiple and have been doing tests with these crafts, trying to reverse engineer its technology for almost 100 years now. And it's been going on for a long time, like I said. And he's confirming everything that the people that really know what's going on and not being so oblivious to certain claims by some of our most highly intelligent and respected military and government personnel. On episode 30, the Arrow and NASA had a public meeting where they kind of were coming together and talking about saying, we have so many reports nowadays, and they actually said that the FAA had over 60 in February alone of UAP reports by airliners, commercial pilots, and the people that were there speaking, even though I think a lot of people still felt like not much was said or done, it was still one of those things, like I said at the beginning, where the timing of all this has all kind of led to this moment for David Grush to come out and spill the beans, if you will. Um, and it just seems like now everything is starting to move really fast, and there seems to be just dips and news cycles with this certain topic, but lately it's all been kind of going at a steady pace. I mean, if you've been listening to my podcast for a little while now, you'll know that I like to come on here and talk about big news stories that have anything to do with UFOs, UAPs, or anything like that. Um, but today I think feels like one of those ones where I'm not just kind of reporting on a video that was released that, I mean, obviously you can't tell exactly what it is, right? But if you take who recorded it, where it was recorded, and all that type of evidence with it. Um, that's pretty much what I've been kind of talking about. And this is just kind of one of those stories that's so mainstream that I feel like a lot of people still haven't fully grasped the idea of us not only retrieving extraterrestrial vehicles that have crashed, but also from what this man, David Grush, has said, bodies, multiple bodies of some type of different species. But of course, he says he can't go into certain details because it's obviously gives away certain information about our government. But for him to say all this and confirming as well that it's not like these things are just kind of space junk flying in our atmosphere and that will be some kind of explanation for some of these UFO sightings, but there are things inside these vehicles that have crashed and we've recovered their vehicles and their bodies as well. And of course, our minds right away go to Roswell. How can it not? And all the many, many other accounts of crashed UFOs with bodies being recovered as well, and military and government officials swarming the area and just pretty much salvaging the whole crash landing spot and telling whoever saw this never did and act like it never happened. Of course, with the whole Virginia case with James Fox, that story had just got hot very recently after James Fox went on Joe Rogan and um, promoted his documentary over the case in Brazil, the Brazil Roswell incident, if you will, where same thing, a UFO crashes in Brazil, small town, and a creature was recovered and taken to a local hospital. And um, I mean, if you were to tell someone all this, you would think, you know, this person obviously is not only making things up, but believes too much in what he reads on Twitter, right? But with James Fox coming out and making that documentary over the Virginia case, and I just keep coming back to the timing of all this, to where it seems like it's been really thought out and coordinated by the now legit and official representatives within our government who are tasked to not only come out and speak on any type of evidence of these certain UAPs, because at the end of the day, all this has to do with our protection as a nation. Um, and if these things are out there flying around our airspace, we're doing training with our military pilots and with our Navy and Air Force, and this goes beyond just people on the internet wanting there to be aliens out there, or for us to know that Area 51 is real and Bob Lazar was telling the truth the whole time that yes, we have crashed UFOs and aliens and our government knows about it, and they're not only running reverse engineering programs on these said crafts, but they've been doing it for almost 100 years now. And not only is there people that know about these certain programs, but there's people that should know about these programs but aren't given access to the full details. And why is that? David Grush is the reason why those types of things, forbidden access to certain programs of certain groups and agencies that have names and staff, but people within our government have never heard of such agencies before because that's how secret they are. I'm telling you, this is season 2023 of the X Files that we are living in. And right now, we just gotta pretty much sit back and enjoy this whole news cycle to kind of play out because the Pentagon has already released statements on this. I believe the White House had a press secretary meeting today, and I forget the representative that was on the podium answering the questions, but someone asked this lady about the whistleblower news that just came out today, and she just said that she thinks that the Department of Defense would be the right people to ask that question. And the Pentagon, of course, is gonna Pentagon and not say anything and say, well, we have no such information or blah blah blah. This is crazy, y'all. It's cool. It's exciting. Um, like I said, this is kind of what we've all been waiting for. It reminds me a lot of the um, Eric Davis, the the Wilson memo, the leaks. If you're familiar with this certain memo called the Wilson memo, where a certain individual was denied access, like David Grush was, about certain information on a project related related to the same type of work that he's into, but was still denied access to certain programs, even though he's the one who should have all the access to the programs. And um, Admiral Wilson and Eric Davis, the Wilson leaks, that's an older story from the early 2000s, I believe, and it's been covered thoroughly throughout the years. And if you've been following this certain topic closely, you know about the Wilson leaks and you know its credibility and how legit this actual discussion was between these two highly intelligent um, people were. And for that leak to still hover below the surface, this David Grush news story is pretty much if the Wilson leak had went mainstream, but now that we have David Grush coming out and putting a face to this whole type of craziness going on within our government, um, it just makes the whole Wilson leak um, that more credible. But I think if you really are into this certain subject, you know it's been credible since day one. But this is just kind of the cherry on top of it all, which is nice. It's nice to have that, you know. So Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp didn't make an episode of Weaponize, their podcast, discussing this whole whistleblower um, news report today. I think it's probably because either one, they knew this was going to happen and didn't want to record an episode until this whole news cycle got out there and played out for a little while, and they really want to do their best coverage of this whole story and go over 100 times better than what I've been doing this episode, but give you the extra details, like the behind the scenes of who this man is and what exactly he's telling us. Um, I think it'll be obviously the most highly anticipated episode of their podcast. Once Joe Rogan puts up some kind of clip with some guest talking about this, I'm sure he'll bring it up to whoever he's recording with right now. Um, this story is just going to keep blowing up, and I think it's just going to get so much more traction because it's not just this man coming out and doing this. He's had multiple people back him up for these reports and these claims. And like I said, his background has been identified to be legit, and he's 100% credible. And at this point, if you're not a believer in what actually is going on secretly within our government and military, um, this should be one of those things that if you're even a little skeptical, you gotta just let go of whatever bias that you may have to this subject. But in reality, if none of it were true, it would have went away a long time ago. But it's only been getting more and more interesting throughout the years. And as a follower of this subject for a long time, um, casually, I may say, um, there's so many people within this whole certain topic that have dedicated their entire lives to it and have died doing so without seeing the end to their hard work. And now I think slowly and slowly with this, um, it will help us prepare for that moment to when we finally know as a species, a human race, that we are not the only ones. And we need to get ready for whatever certain type of beliefs you may have. Um, it doesn't take away from any of those that there are extraterrestrial species out there within our universe. It just means that everything that you believe in, all those stories and um, I think it just legitimizes them even more because being the ones on here on Earth and feeling like we're the only ones out there for so long, it just sounds like the craziest thing to believe in. And I'm trying to wrap my brain around if I could even fully imagine what it feels like to know 100% that there are extraterrestrial beings flying around out there at all times, that we're not the only ones floating on a giant ball in space, but there's others out there as well. I think that type of confirmation in our minds still seems unimaginable, to be honest, even though I've been telling myself that for the past, almost 30 years of my life. But for that day to eventually come, I think it's going to be one of the biggest moments, not only in my life, but I'm sure within a lot of people's lives. And I think these types of stories are the ones that will help our species to brace ourselves, but also learn to accept, because it's going to feel like it comes at you fast, but the way everything has been handled so far, I got to give it up to the people that are in charge of letting out this information. All the pilots like Ryan Graves, Commander Fravor, and David Grush, the whistleblower of the man of the hour. Um, these people have given their lives for our country and have the utmost courage to put their names and careers and accolades on the line for this topic. We got to stop with the oblivious, pushback when people like this have something to say on this topic. Y'all got to let me know what y'all think. Um, this is literally the first day that this news story came out, so I'm sure there's more to come. This might be kind of like part one of a two-part video once this whole news cycle just kind of goes through everyone's news feed throughout the week. It's still a fresh story. I'm sure I even still left out a couple things like I tend to do sometimes, which I apologize for. But like I said, this just came out and I had to come on here and talk about it because this is one of the craziest stories to have come out in recent times regarding UFOs. Um, but it seems like it just keeps happening, don't it? Hopefully it does. Things are things are getting real good. But I think I'm gonna end it right there, y'all. Um, like I said, this is probably gonna be a part one, and once I dive deeper into the news story and more things come out throughout the week, I will hop back on here ASAP and record the next episode going over this whole craziness. But I want to thank whoever's tuning in and liking, commenting, subscribing. Um, if you stumble across this video, uh, I post comic books on my Instagram at Admire My Moonsault. I live stream on Twitch at Admire My Moonsault. I post one of these every Wednesday. Sometimes I'll post 2 a week. This may be one of those occasions where I post multiple a week. But until then, I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's week. Y'all stay safe, and I'll catch y'all on the flip. Peace.